Alright, let's get this camera set up right. I just made a big switch. Let me tell you about it. Hey everybody, it's Gary Buzel, professional photographer and journalist. Alright, so let's get to what this video is all about. Normally I talk about Leica cameras, we do a little bit of storytelling, some journalism. We've been traveling the country in my RV. I'm a nomad, don't live in one particular part of the nation. We're all over the place, traveling different cities in America, bringing you some content when we can. Today in this video we're going to talk about something a little bit different. We're going to talk about why I left Panasonic Lumix. I had a Panasonic S5 Mark II and S1R, and before that I had a Leica SL2S, and now I've completely dumped the L-mount system, and now we're shooting with the Nikon Z.
The original pronunciation from Japan in Japanese is Nikon. Nikon.
And this is the Nikon Z8.
Nikon.
We have the 24-120 S lens on here. Completely switched over, and this video I'm going to explain why. And of course this is coming on the heels of Panasonic announcing their S1R Mark II camera. And I'll tell you why I'm still happy that I switched to Nikon. And for my Leica fans out there, no, I'm not leaving Leica. I'm still going to be shooting with Leica, but this is for my B camera stuff, which is all just mostly video and some photography work that I don't want to shoot on the Leica. So just days ago, Panasonic announced the new Lumix S1R Mark II. And I'll tell you, there's some great features I really am happy to see that they added to that camera. First, the 44 megapixel is absolutely wonderful. We've been wanting a higher megapixel camera in the Lumix lineup. And before the S1R Mark II, all we had left was the S1R, and that camera was getting very old. It had the older autofocus, it was big and bulky, and really we were waiting quite a while for something newer to come out. So it's nice to see that they came out with this camera. Another feature I really like about the S1 Mark II is the LCD display on the back. You can actually tilt it up and down, kind of like we can do here on my Z8. All right, up and down, but also it flips forward and does the selfie screen, which is great for video shooters and even YouTubers. When you want to do that video of yourself, you can just turn it around and you got a great way of seeing yourself. Now with my Z8, I can't turn it around, so that leaves me the only option of either putting an external monitor on the camera, or I have to use my cell phone to see myself going through the app. But I do have a fix for this. This isn't going to be my only Nikon Z camera. I'm also getting the Nikon Z6 Mark III, and that will be my video workhorse, especially for YouTube work. And this will be more of a photocentric camera. If you want more information on the Panasonic Lumix S1R Mark II, there's plenty of other videos here on YouTube reviewing that camera and going down the specs line by line, and you can see everything it has. Giving you all the details about that camera, that's not what this video is for. This video is about why I left Panasonic Lumix, and I'm happy with my Nikon Z system. Before I talk about the Nikon Z system, I just want to touch on Lumix a little bit more and just say the great things I do like about the Lumix system. And if you are considering Panasonic Lumix for your own use, there's also some great things you should know. Panasonic Lumix has one of the best in-body image stabilization systems in the market. You can literally walk around with the Panasonic Lumix cameras, whether it be the S5 Mark IIx, the S5 Mark II, or even some of the older ones, and you can almost get gimbal-like rock-solid stabilization out of these cameras, which is a wonderful thing. If you're a video-centric user, well, Lumix is really good with the robust video features, and also there's a culture built all around Panasonic Lumix when it comes to video shooting. Now, if you're more of a hybrid shooter like myself, you might find that a little bit frustrating, because when you watch a lot of videos on the internet about Lumix cameras, they're very heavily biased and focused on video shooting, which I'm going to say is not a bad thing. But if you are more in the middle and you're not so heavy on the video side, you might find it a little bit frustrating when you're looking for things on the camera, looking for videos or information, and it's always looked at from the video perspective, because that's their core customer. The video customer. And speaking of robust video features, another great thing Lumix has is real-time LUTs. That means you can be shooting in Panasonic log and not look at that washed out video. They'll actually have video LUT assist, or you can even have it baked into the final video where you don't even have to apply a LUT in post. Your video will actually come out like a Rec 709 or whatever kind of LUT you want to put in there. It will process it in camera for you so you don't have to do it in post, and you can see it live on your screen, which is really awesome. So that's a great video feature in Lumix. And last but not least, Lumix has open gate. And this for me is not a big deal, but a lot of video shooters make a real big deal about open gate. That allows them to shoot on the full dimensions of the sensor, and they can cut and crop any way they see fit depending on what delivery they're making the video for, whether it be for social media where it's a vertical format, or just regular YouTube like here where it's more of a 16:9, or some crazy cinema aspect ratio that you want to cut it for. It's easy to do with an open gate. For me, I mostly do YouTube videos or for clients that use videos in broadcast production, and there it's mostly a 16:9 format. So I'm not so much looking for different aspect ratios. And also when I'm editing the video later, I don't want to have to keep doing crops and aspect ratio adjustments in post. I just want to be able to drop and drag the video and it fits the frame. So I find myself not really using open gate very much. Just for me, it just doesn't work. Not every feature benefits everyone, and I guess I'm in that boat. So you may be wondering, why did I leave Lumix and go for the Nikon Z system? Let's take a step back to 2024. Lumix was very, very slow with coming out with flagship or higher end L-mount gear. It seems they spent most of the year of 2024 focused on consumer models like the S9. There was some rumor videos from Andrea Pisani and some of the other rumor sites, but nothing was really solidified or officially announced that something new was on the way. So a lot of high-end Lumix professional users were kind of left out in the cold most of 2024. And frankly, we got frustrated that nothing was coming out, or we had no hope that something better was going to come out. Lumix does a great job here on YouTube having a presence. They have Lumix Live, and they also have a lot of tutorial videos. And when you go on Lumix Live, you ask him, is there anything coming in the future? And he's pretty much tied by corporate that he can't say anything new is coming. So that is frustrating too, and a lot of camera makers do that as well. It's not just Lumix. Sometimes they'll say, or they'll give a roadmap out, or sometimes they'll say something is in development. All right, reason number 2, I left Lumix because the video autofocus still was not up to par. Now with the new S1R Mark II, that's out to be determined if that's a better improvement. They say it is. With the newer autofocus in the S5 Mark IIx that I had, it still was lagging behind the Nikon. I rented the Nikon, I tested it, and I noticed the autofocus performance was hands down better than the Panasonic. And doing these selfie videos and everything, I want the video to stay in focus. So that was another reason why I switched to Nikon. Reason number 3 is Lumix is very video-centric focused. I know a lot of the fans out there will argue, well, they're into photography as well, but just the culture surrounding the whole Lumix camera is very heavily video, filmmaker, cinematographer focused. Like I said, that in itself is not a bad thing, but it just didn't connect with me personally as well. I wanted something more of a jack of all trades, something that has its legs firmly placed in both areas. And I just got a better vibe from the Nikon. All right, reason number 4 why I left Lumix is the poor resale value of their equipment. Lumix gear's resale value really isn't so great when you look at it on the internet. Now if you're getting into the system, that's a great thing. I mean, you're going to save lots of money. But if you're looking to get out of Lumix and make the switch like I did and go to a different brand, well, just remember you're going to take a hit on Lumix prices, on resale prices on the internet. I put a lot of my gear up on eBay, Facebook, and Craigslist. And I noticed just the asking prices I was asking, 30–40% lower than the new value price, which just was not hitting it. And the final reason why I left Lumix, let's talk about their L-mount siblings, Leica. I'm a diehard Leica shooter, but when it comes to Leica's SL stuff, I just really can't budget the high price of their things. You see, when I got the Panasonic system, my hope was to eventually get some more Leica L-mount gear to go with the Panasonic camera. But right now, financially, that just doesn't work out for me, and that never materialized. So that was just one more reason why I didn't want to stay with L-mount. What are the things I like about the Z8? Reduced rolling shutter. Nikon is excellent with that because this sensor has such a fast readout speed. Rolling shutter is reduced quite a bit for this camera. Another reason why I went with Nikon is the great selection of lenses. They have a whole line of zooms that are really good and they're sharp, really good quality. And also they have now an excellent 1.2 prime lineup. And they just added 35mm f1.2. Now you may be asking, okay, there's a Sigma 35 1.2 for L mount. And yeah, it's a great lens. I was actually looking at getting it at one time. Another great thing is Nikon just acquired Red. And Red was one of the best high-end cinematography camera lines out there. And now Nikon owns them. At one time, the two companies were fighting each other out over patents and disputing about RAW codecs and things. Well, now that's all over, and now Nikon owns Red. So just to see what is going to be coming out in the future between the merger of these two, it's going to be pretty good. Nikon also has a great selection of bodies, from the Z8 to also the Z6 Mark III, and they also have an APS-C camera as well. So whatever form factor or sensor size you're looking for, you'll find it with Nikon.
Nikon.
Let's talk about flexibility with the Nikon Z mount. You can also get lens adapters for even putting Sony E-mount lenses on the Nikon Z mount. TechArt even makes an adapter that adds autofocus by moving the lens in and out of the adapter, so you don't have to move the manual focus on a Leica M lens. That's a really cool adapter. I'm hoping to get that soon, and maybe we'll make a video about it. Alright, we talked about resale value with the Panasonic Lumix. Well, with the Nikon equipment, it has better resale value. There's actually people out there selling Nikon Z lenses for just $50 to $75 to $100 less than new ones. These are used lenses. Resale value is phenomenal at Nikon. So right on the heels of Panasonic's announcement of the S1R Mark II, Nikon was like, hold my beer. And they came out with the firmware updates for the Z8 and the Z6 Mark III. And their firmware versions 2.10 and 1.10. And you can download them right now from the Nikon website. And they add some pretty cool video features to the Nikon camera. Some notable features include shutter angle. I like to set the camera at 180-degree shutter angle, and I know every time I'm at the correct shutter speed, no matter what. They've also added, if you're in DX mode, you have high-res zoom. Great way to check your focus. And now that's available in the new firmware. Another great thing they did is they separated photo and video shooting modes. So now, when you switch between photo and video in your Z8 or Z6 Mark III, your shooting mode it changes. It goes to what you left it last in each mode. So if you set it to manual in video mode, and say you want aperture priority in photo mode, well, you can set them in each depending on what mode you're in, and you can switch back and forth between the two, and you don't have to keep resetting your mode, which is absolutely wonderful. That was very frustrating when I first came to Nikon, so that's now fixed. Another cool feature is the colored zebra pattern. If you don't like the washed out gray and white stripes, you can add colors to them. Nikon recently came out with a power zoom lens. It's from 28 to 135 and f4. They also added some different firmware for that, making that work in collaboration with electronic zoom. And of course they said they fixed bug fixes. You know, Leica does the same thing. That's all good to know, but what exactly did they fix? So that's it for this video. I hope you found that interesting why I did what I did, and I'm very happy I made the switch to the Nikon Z lineup. And we'll have more videos coming up, along with our Leica videos and other videos we make here. You'll get to see some Nikon content as well. So if you're just a Nikon shooter, I recommend sticking around and enjoying some of the Nikon content we'll be making here on this channel, along with our Leica stuff as well. Alright, well, I want to thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe and tell your friends about this channel. We're new, we're just starting off. I really don't know what we want to do yet. I don't know if I want to make more gear content or more storytelling or a combination of both. I'm still feeling this out. This is a whole new venture, so come along. It's going to be one hell of a ride. You can even put Zony, those are people from Arizona, right? You can't fix video in post that was shot at the wrong shutter speed. It's pretty much toast.